Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today we're going to do a pretty special video because I'm here in the Grand Caymans on a work vacation for another one of our channels.
But I think there's a misconception out there in the world that traveling needs to be expensive, or if you do it on the cheap, it becomes a terrible experience which involves sleeping in crowded tents and eating instant noodles for each meal. But that's just wrong. So I'm here today to show you guys that you can find a balance between affordability and comfort.
Now, being surrounded by so much beautiful scenery has inspired me to do a video for Generation Tech. I also need to do a video for Generation Tech or else we're not going to have a video and then, well, that'd be disastrous, wouldn't it? You see, when I was in college, I was watching the prequel trilogy on a laptop in my bathtub while simultaneously making grilled cheese in a sideway toaster. Padme Anakin storyline put me to sleep.
I don't like Sam.
And both the laptop and the toaster fell into the bathtub, turning it into a hyperspace/time machine bathtub. And I found myself... No! And I found myself butt naked in the lower levels of Coruscant. I spent the next 10 years traveling across the Star Wars galaxy before I figured out how to return to our own world by setting off a time dilation gravity wormhole bomb on a planet called Alderaan. This is why I decided to start this channel, Generation Tech. Unlike some other Star Wars experts, I was actually there. Now I spent most of my time in the Star Wars galaxy traveling and exploring, and today I want to talk to you guys about 10 amazing travel experiences you can have should you ever make it to the Star Wars galaxy. Before the destruction of the second Death Star rained millions of tons of durasteel and pure hatred onto its surface, the moon of Endor was one gigantic wildlife preserve paradise. It was a place where the Imperial elite could enjoy some of the best medium game hunting in the entire galaxy. One of the native species, known as the Ewoks, were a semi-sentient species that had a primitive tribal society. Armed with clubs, bows, and arrows, and superhuman strength, these little brutes were quite the challenge to hunt and kill. It wasn't uncommon for an overconfident hunter to disappear into the bush and never be seen again. Endor is a relatively difficult place to get to as it is in the Outer Rim territories, located on 816 of the standard galactic map. In the past, only individuals with their own ship or rich enough to charter a ship could reach Endor. But since the Empire has established a permanent base, low-cost carriers have offered to take passengers as far as Takodana. From there, they can take Imperial-run shuttles all the way to Endor. Lodgings are non-existent on the planet, so I do recommend you guys bring some of your own hammocks that hang up in the trees, or at least a blind that you can hide in a tree, because Ewoks are known to ambush people at night, and many of them have a taste for human flesh. There's this troubling sentiment in our world that wealthy individuals are somehow evil and have done terrible things to get to where they are. Now, obviously, some wealthy individuals fall into that category, but I think the majority of these individuals have worked hard to get to where they are, and they don't really deserve to be demonized for it. Luckily, in Star Wars, there's a whole lot more Lando Calrissians than there are Rose Ticos, because I swear to God, if Rose ever got her way, you would have execution squads roaming around rounding up intellectuals and landowners and massive famines. Okay, back to more pleasant stuff. The world of Cantonica is a fabulous place to be. This desert planet has one huge artificial lake on which the lovely casino city of Canto Bight is located. The city's cobblestone-lined streets will remind you of ancient cities in the Mediterranean like Dubrovnik, Croatia. The casinos are classy and subdued in loudness but oozing in style and opulence. And if gambling isn't your thing, there's galaxy-class shopping, high-end spas, and of course, Fathier racing. Quite similar to horse racing here on Earth, Fathier racing is a highly competitive sport that includes a lot of sports betting. As a matter of fact, it's so popular that it single-handedly helped preserve this otherwise useless race of animals from extinction. Probably. While Canto Bight might give off the impression that it is a very expensive and exclusive place to go to, it's actually not the case. There are all sorts of accommodations from budget to high-end luxury. A good alternative to Canto Bight would be Cloud City over Bespin, but the whole floating over a gas giant thing freaks me out. While on Earth, I'm not a huge fan of cruise ships. In the Star Wars galaxy, taking a cruise ship is a whole different experience. Several Mon Calamari-based companies operate luxury starliners that travel all throughout the galaxy, whether that's a short hop down the Perlemian Way, or an arduous journey through the Kessel Run to catch a glimpse of the Maw. It's always a good time because these 1,200-meter cruisers have basically everything you could want. They also include state-of-the-art shielding and reinforced armor holes and a Class 1.5 hyperdrive. So you can expect to travel in style, safety, and comfort. Well, actually, Mon Calamari ships do tend to have their climate control set on the humid side. Otherwise, aquatic aliens like the Mon Calamari crew would dry up relatively quickly. And if you're a keen fisherman and love deep sea fishing, wait till you try deep space harpooning. A huge type of organism called the purrgil, otherwise known colloquially as a space whale, is a nuisance to spacers and extremely dangerous to even the largest capital ships. These giant whales have been running into spacers and killing them before even hyperspace travel was invented. Contrary to popular belief, deep space harpooning is not about catching or latching onto purrgils. It's more about being able to penetrate their very hard armor-like hide with a harpoon-like device, which then implants explosives inside of their flesh, allowing spacers to kill the purrgil. Many unfortunate spacers have found out that the turbo laser only stings these giant beasts and piss them off. So not only do you get to do some hunting, you get to keep the galaxy's hyperspace lanes a lot safer. Being from New York, very few cities in the world impress me. That is until I visited the Yoseminopolis known as Coruscant. It completely blows New York out of the water. It's not even close. Upon first glance at Coruscant, one realizes that they will never be able to explore the worldwide city in its entirety, unless maybe they were whatever the hell Yoda is. But even then, it would be a lifelong endeavor. It's a planet with everything. There's luxury, commerce, shopping, history, culture, the culinary arts. If there's only one place you could visit to better understand the Star Wars galaxy, I would definitely recommend here. Some of my personal favorite experiences include going to the Jedi Temple. I was lucky enough to walk through the ruins of the ancient halls right after the Jedi Purge, which meant no lines, no tickets, no gift shops, and most importantly, no Jedi Guardians trying to block you from exploring. For those of you looking for an adventure off the beaten path, well, I recommend you check out level 3204. Now, normally I wouldn't recommend you visit a level that deep into the Undercity. 3204, also known as Little Alderaan, is the last bastion of Alderaanian culture and its people after it was destroyed by my time of the Death Star. I mean, it was destroyed by the Death Star. So if you're looking for some rare vintage Alderaanian Tonnerai, or some dried Star Blossom fruit, or maybe you just want to hear an old sad Alderaanian man talk about how the Alderaanian atmosphere used to smell like, then this is the place for you. Now, for a lot of you guys, visiting the Star Wars galaxy is all going to be about visiting your Jedi roots. If you have any. You don't. I mean, let's be honest, guys. We all think we're special and that we would have force powers if we did exist in the Star Wars galaxy. But no. Like, mathematically speaking, there's probably a 1 in a several million, if not billion, chance that you will be a Jedi. I mean, you know what I was for the first 3 years in the Star Wars galaxy? A freaking waiter. And most likely you'll be something like that too, if not worse. Luckily, I always listened to the wise words of Obi-Wan Kenobi and stayed away from the death sticks.
Some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Seriously, that is a serious problem in the underworld. I mean, everyone is on death sticks and just robbing each other, stealing stuff. It's terrible. Anyway, Jedi culture. Right, so you've learned that you're not a Jedi, but let's say you're still interested in the culture and history surrounding this mysterious organization. Well, if you managed to arrive in the Star Wars galaxy before the Empire remodeled the planet of Jedha,
Oh, it's beautiful.
definitely recommend you check out that planet. Although there are many planets that claim to be the original home of the Jedi Order, no world has more Jedi runes and different Force religious sects on it. It's truly an amazing place to be, and the ancient city of Jedha is probably one of the most atmospheric places in the galaxy. It just reeks of the old world, both metaphorically and literally. But before you go, make sure you check in with your local embassy and see if there are any travel advisories on the planet. Now let's say you think you're going to be a Sith. Again, very unlikely. But if you do really like Sith culture, you probably don't want to go to Jedha, you're going to want to go to Korriban. Korriban was one of the original Sith worlds that the first Jedi exiles arrived on. They, along with the local race of aliens called the Sith, bred together and eventually created the mighty Sith Empire. Korriban, like Jedha, is a great place for adventurers, rugged-looking archaeology professors, and tomb raiders. But be warned, this is not a place for an amateur explorer. The majority of the tombs on this planet will either kill you, possess you, or steal your soul, or maybe do all three. As a matter of fact, if you do make it off the planet alive and in control of your own free will, make sure you sell whatever you stole very quickly. For some reason, a lot of the worlds in the Star Wars galaxy resemble one or two biomes we can find here on Earth. But every now and then you find such a unique and different planet that you will truly be shocked. Felucia is one of those planets. It's a strange world full of gigantic fungi and other oddly shaped and colored vegetation. While it's technically considered a jungle planet, it's definitely not like any jungle you've ever seen, unless you're really into psychedelics. This is also a great place for a naturalist to visit. You'll see entire ecosystems and food chains you didn't even know could exist. Also, if you're a botanist or a chemist, or if you're looking to find the next big pharmaceutical drug, this is a great place to visit. Fallujah is basically like the Amazon on steroids, which means the wildlife here are also on steroids, which means rancors, jungle rancors. Really couldn't do this list without mentioning Scarif. Another odd thing with Star Wars planets is they all seem to have just one biome across the entire planet. You never really have Earth-like worlds where there's a little bit of everything. Some trees, some mountains, some deserts, some neatly manicured suburbs. This does make some Star Wars worlds a little bit boring and one-dimensional, but Scarif is the complete opposite. That's because the entire planet is literally the Maldives. Shallow oceans, beautiful islands, lined with soft sandy beaches and palm trees. The only problem with the place is it has a history of superweapon testing. I know a lot of you guys who watch this channel are really into military stuff, Star Destroyers, X-Wings, AT-ATs, so the main purpose for you guys visiting this place would be to find those cool vehicles and weapons. Well, first of all, please do not join the Empire as an enlisted soldier. The pay is terrible, most postings are extremely boring or extremely dangerous, and yes, the armor and all that other stuff kinda sucks. You're better off being an officer, but then again, it's impossible if you don't have the right connections. And like I said, a newly arrived individual to the galaxy most likely will end up watching Dishes or worse, so you're not going to really have those connections. Also, don't join the rebellion. The things you see in the movies are only a small percentage of what actually happens, and most of the time you're only looking at what we call hero units. These units are purely for propaganda purposes and have a lot of plot armor. In reality, rebel units get wiped out and slaughtered on the reg. So don't do it. You're much better off going to an old battle site and studying some ruins. I recommend Jakku because that was the battle of the Galactic Civil War. It was the only time the Rebellion really managed to gather a large fleet, and they were facing off against the remnant of the Imperial fleet. A lot of ships went down on this planet, and when you see the actual size of some of these ships in real life, sometimes disgusting things come out of beautiful things. That's the case with Cato Neimoidia and Kylo Ren. I mean, really, how does this happen? Han Solo and Princess Leia have a kid, and it looks like this? I mean, what the hell? Ah. Anyway, Cato Neimoidia is one of the main worlds of the Neimoidians and the home of the Trade Federation headquarters. This mesmerizing world is constantly covered in a thick layer of fog, with giant grass and forests covering rock pillars rising up out of the oceans. The majority of the inhabitants live on giant rope bridge cities, another unique feature of this world. Now sure, after the Separatist Alliance lost the Clone War, Cato Neimoidia did suffer some reprisals from the Empire, but it still hasn't really tarnished the beauty of the world. Just wouldn't want to live there under occupation though. So those are 10 Star Wars travel experiences that I highly recommend. What I don't recommend you guys do is try to make grilled cheese in a toaster by putting it sideways because most likely it'll catch on fire. Also, don't try to drop a laptop with the Star Wars movie playing on it into the bathtub along with a toaster in an attempt at time travel. That's actually highly dangerous. Everyone needs to find their own way on how they can reach the Star Wars galaxy. I do recommend you try interesting things like maybe find a wardrobe, an old wardrobe in your grandparents' home and walk through the back of it. Maybe you'll end up somewhere special. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button. And as usual, if you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.